Justin Trudeau, who's been in hiding. Well, let me just let you watch this.
I have attended protests and rallies in the past when I agreed with the goals, when I supported the people expressing their concerns and their issues. Black Lives Matter is an excellent example of that. But I have also chosen to not go anywhere near protests that have expressed hateful rhetoric, violence towards fellow citizens, and a disrespect not just of science, but of the frontline health workers and, quite frankly, the 90% of truckers who have been doing the right thing to keep Canadians safe, to put food on our tables. Canadians know where I stand. This is a moment for responsible leaders to think carefully about where they stand and who they stand with.
Oh, this is, sometimes my job's just really easy. And when Trudeau, thank you, sir, for what how you help us so much with stuff. He is right, though, Rick Green. We need to know where he stands. And I believe Canadians and Americans know exactly where he stands.
Yeah, this same crowd, just like Justin Trudeau, other leaders like him, they were singing the praises of truckers 2 years ago when they locked down the country and people still needed their goods delivered. He was singing the praises of, even now, singing the praises of healthcare workers while he supports the firing of healthcare workers that have been on the front lines for 2 years if they don't get the jab. So, the hypocrisy is strong with this one for sure. I'm so thankful for these truckers and what they're doing. They're setting a great example. So instead of "Oh, Canada," let's say "Go, Canada." They're doing a fantastic job there. And, Gene, one thing from the last segment, I think, what John was saying, what Kerry was saying, Mario, everybody was saying is the system works if we'll work the system. God has given us the talent of freedom, the gift of freedom. And we can't just sit on it. We can't bury it. We don't want to be the wicked and slothful servant. We've got to work it. We've got to live it. We've got to be involved in it. And that's what John's saying is people want to know what to do. There are things you can do to make a difference. Don't give up. Don't think that the system doesn't work or it's too big or you can't have an impact. Guarantee you that you can. Go to millionvoices.org and get signed up. Go to Patriot Academy and get a Constitution class. Find a candidate you can support. There's so much you can do. Look at what these truckers have done. They took a week of their life and literally drove across the country to send a signal. Every single one of us has a voice in this process. We've just got to start speaking up.
That's true. So true, Rick. But let's see what MSNBC has to say. Is the media on their side or is he on Trudeau's side? Watch.
The capital of Canada to a standstill. Dozens of trucks and other vehicles could be seen blocking the downtown area of Ottawa as protesters rallied.
Like an interesting way to spend your weekend.
The demonstrations were initially aimed at pushback against vaccine mandates for truck drivers crossing the U.S.-Canada border. But the movement escalated into an expression of disapproval with the Canadian government's COVID
themselves, because they've become what they hated. They've become what they mocked. And now they're taking food from soup kitchens because they're so put upon for being asked to do what they've been asked to do, required to do their entire lives.
Coming up.
It's a cult.
Yes.
Just let that sink in for a moment. Mario, this is why I say friends don't let friends watch mainstream media and what they're saying. I mean, they're really capitalizing on this soup. And we don't know the whole story. Yeah. We don't know the whole story.
No,
there may have been some bad actors there. But they're capitalizing on this is really an attack of the left to constantly spin something in the direction they want it. Go ahead. I know you have a comment.
Well, my comment is this. You realize what Trudeau and Joe Scarborough and all of them have just done. They've had their deplorables moment. This is the same thing that Hillary Clinton did to her campaign when she called the Trump supporters a basket of deplorables, because all of them insulted their intelligence, their sincerity, and they are underestimating it. They don't know how big the crowd is. Two things they don't know is how big the movement is for the truckers and how small the audience is for MSNBC. And they call these truckers basically a cult. Well, their ratings are so low that MSNBC is now a seance, is what it is. And everything about it is so insulting. So, it has that elitism. It feels that way. And it's going to backlash so big that the movement's going to grow tenfold.
You lost me on seance. Okay, we talked about the truckers. Let's give them some equal time, shall we? The truck convoy. Let's look at it.
We are standing at the battle line. This is our anthem. This is our cry to see revival. The nation's free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. So we are meeting at the battle, the same ground where you poured out. You are doing something greater. It is coming, it is now. So here we are in the Northlands, with our eyes set on your gaze. Canada will see revival, and it's flowing from this place. We are standing at the battle line. This is our anthem. This is our cry to see revival in the nation's free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard. Oh, for thee. Oh, we are standing at the battle line. This is our anthem. This is our cry to see revival. The nation's free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard.
Oh, Canada, we do stand with you, glorious and free. John, when I see that, one of the things that the news reports have talked about is, of course, the truckers. But it's astounding how many people are lining the roads and the overpasses, to the point that some of the law officials have closed down these overpasses to keep people off of them, to keep the cheering crowds away from this. This really is a movement. I love that song about revival in the Northland. But let me tell you, you got to want to stand outside. That's cold stuff up there in Canada. And this Texas boy doesn't want to be standing outside. But
He might be here in the next 2 days.
Well, it's true. But, I love that about the Canadians. They're getting it. Canada, KCM Canada, you guys, you're getting it. And that's so encouraging to see people standing up. And I love it. The Americans have joined forces with the Canadians. Go ahead, John.
And what a powerful picture. What did Trudeau say? I wish I could debate him right now and give a rebuttal. You said they were hateful speech, they were violence, and science is not for it. These people are standing against socialism, and you stood with BLM. That was hateful. It's a racist doctrine. It's the modern KKK, and it was violent, burning down buildings and injuring and killing people all over. They're anti-mandates. They're anti-lockdown, and there's a big, big difference. My wife cried twice this week watching some of the people. This one lady from China said, I escaped from China and it means so much to me. You're fighting for freedom. She's just crying, weeping. This is people standing up against tyranny, standing up against socialism. And by the way, Rick Green can comment on this. They took their guns away a long time ago, and people a lot of times think, oh, well, that doesn't really matter. It really does matter. It's one of the big differences between Australia and Canada that are armless citizens, they're subjects. And these people don't know what else to do. So I applaud them for doing it. It's pretty, I almost wish they would come across the border from the north and escape socialism.
Well, I agree with that. How about it, Rick? He said that was a softball he set up for you. Go ahead. I'll let you take a swing.
Well, and I'll be honest with you guys. I used to make fun of Canada. And then about 10 years ago, I went there to speak at an event, and I really did my homework. Their Charter of Rights and Freedoms reads almost exactly like our Bill of Rights, because it was based on the American Bill of Rights. The reason the Canadians have been such good friends to Americans is because we share that bond of a love for freedom and a recognition that freedom comes from God. And that's why that clip you just played, I was tearing up as you were playing it, just thinking about they are fighting for freedom right now. We've faced a lot of tyranny in America throughout this COVID cult. You want to talk about a cult? It's the way that we've treated this whole situation. But Canada's had it far, far worse. We've watched the arrest of pastors. We've watched this evil stuff happening. And I saw someone tweet out just yesterday. They said, God asked all the pastors to stand up and only a few would. So he called on the truckers and they're going to take care of the job. I'm just thrilled with what these truckers are doing. And I say thank you to Canada, just like you guys did. We need to be standing with them because we're facing the same enemy. And the enemy is this atheist Marxist mentality that government can solve all your problems. Just let us control your life. That is wrong. It is anti-American and it's anti-Canadian. And it's great to see people that love freedom standing up against it.
Yeah, amen.